Of the conservative millennial.
Ben Shapiro.
The Ben Shapiro Show. Tonight at 8 p.m. on News Radio 1440. Depend on it.
All right, welcome in, everybody. We have been. I know it's going to be difficult to move from one thing to another right quick, and we don't mean to make anything more important than the other. But I do have a guest in the studio this morning, Mr. Shomari Figures. Shomari, is that how you pronounce it? Shomari. Like Somalia and stuff like that, you know. Okay, well, let me put that over there. First of all, tell the folks who you are, and tell us a little bit who Shomari Figures is.
Yeah, so look, I'm Shomari Figures.
Mm-hmm.
To sum it up, look, I love God, I love my wife, I love my children, I love my family. I was born and raised in Mobile, Alabama. Grew up there in my granddaddy's church. I was educated there, product of the public school system.
Mm-hmm.
Proud graduate of John L. LaFleur High School, which I personally think is the best high school in the land. Look, that's the community that raised me and prepared me to go on and have a career that took me across the spectrum of federal government. I worked in all three branches of federal government. I consider the military a bit of a fourth branch. I did not serve this nation as you did in our armed services, and thank you for that service. But I've had the I've had the privilege to learn throughout my career how government works. My career took me to clerking on a federal court, to then working to help get President Obama elected, and then going over to the White House for several years, and then going over to the Department of Justice from there. Spent several years as a lawyer working in Congress, then went back after doing the Biden-Harris transition team, the group that helped sort of prepare the incoming administration for coming back into the White House and coming back into the as the head of government. Then I went back to the Department of Justice yet again, and where most recently I served as Deputy Chief of Staff to Attorney General Merrick Garland. And so, look, I tell people I don't agree with how government works in a lot of respects, as most people don't. There are certainly major aspects of it that we need to improve, but I know how it works. And I know how it works. And look, I tell people throughout my career, whether I was in a room with a president, an attorney general, a senator, a congressman, Alabama was with me, because that's the experience that informed the lens through which I view life. I grew up black and in Alabama, and people ask me, well, why did you decide to go and serve in federal government? It's because I grew up black in Alabama. And when you grow up black in Alabama, you know and you understand the role that federal government has had to play in making this state do right by black people. That always resonated with me, whether we're talking about, here in Montgomery, whether you're talking about a bus boycott and the civil rights movement, the voting rights movement, desegregation. Those are things that the federal government had to step in and make this state actually do right by a significant segment of its population. Even this district that we're running in is yet another example of the federal government having to get involved to make Alabama do right by black people. This district would not exist if it was not for the same Voting Rights Act that was passed because of the people here in Montgomery standing up and leading the way and protesting against the way people were being treated and the access that they had to influence their electoral process. And so, listen, that always resonated with me. That's what motivated me. That's what pushed me. That, in addition to my parents were both in elective office. My father actually integrated University of Alabama's law school. He was the first black to go to the law school. He and several others went into the first class. I'm sorry, I don't want to diminish the others. The first class to admit black law students. My father was in that class at University of Alabama, and he was the first black graduate. Then he went on to become a state senator. He died suddenly in '96. My mother was on the Mobile City Council at the time. And then she ran for that state senate seat and has been in it ever since. And so I kind of grew up. There's literally not been a day of my life, a single day of my life, where one of my parents has not been an elected official. And they have always instilled in us the necessity to make sure that you are giving back and make sure that you are providing the best that God has given you for the benefit of the people and places that matter most to you. And so that's what's always driven my career. That's what's always motivated me, anything I was doing throughout my career. And that's what motivated me to get in this race as well. And so that's a little bit about Shomari. Look, I'm the proud husband of Kalisha Figures, proud father of 3 young kids, 4, 2, and 8 months. And so that's what drives me. That's what motivates me, man.
Okay. You know the question that has been asked, and I'm going to ask it too, and we certainly appreciate your service on a national level, but the question that has been asked, and I know you've heard it, so I'm not the person bringing this up.
And I'm ready for it.
After living so long, so away, do you think your spirit and your soul and your knowledge of the dynamics of Alabama in 2024 is sufficient enough to represent those people with all the intricacies of the modern day?
Yeah, absolutely I do, because it's never been a situation where I moved off and disregarded the state, disregarded my hometown, disregarded the people and places that made me, right? I've been in government. I've been working in and around a lot of the issues that Alabama has unfortunately been on the wrong side of, in my opinion, in Washington, D.C. and nationally. I've stayed connected here to the state, stayed connected to my hometown. We own a business here, a successful business here in the state. My mother is here, mama's here, home is here. So it's not been that sort of situation. I have always been connected. I tell people, look, I didn't go off to some big city, big law firm, or working for some big Fortune 500 company. I've always stayed in the fray, even when I had the opportunity to jump out and go work in something that wasn't tangibly related to actually being able to provide a benefit to people. I didn't do it, right? Like I came out of I was senior advisor, White House liaison to Attorney General Loretta Lynch. At the end of the Trump administration, I literally could have left there and ridden my own ticket to go to any big law firm or any big company, in-house counsel, corporate counsel, general counsel type roles, and I didn't because I wanted to stay in the fight, because I knew that there needed to be a voice that brought the perspective that I could in a certain realm of government. And so what I did was I went to the U.S. Senate, and this was before Doug Jones was elected. When I worked in the U.S. Senate, I was literally the only black man from the state of Alabama working in the United States Senate in any capacity. And there I took, what informs me, right? Like this is like, look, when you're born in Alabama and you're raised in Alabama and your people still here in Alabama, you don't get untouched or unhinged with Alabama. So this was, not at all that situation.
Okay. Let me ask you another question. There are 435 members of the House. Well, after you get there, it'd be 436.
No, it'll still be 435. 435. It's not a new district. It's just newly redrawn.
Oh, redrawn. Right, exactly. You make up 0.03% of that House.
Yep.
Tell me what superpowers that you have that's going to make you significant at 0.03% of the House.
So look, you are assuming the math is correct, which I'm pretty sure it is. You are 0.03% of the body, but you are 100% of the voice of the people of here at District 2. Right? You are 100% of their representation there. Right? They don't have another option. Right? And so, well, every 2 years they get to choose another option, but if elected, they don't have another. You are there 100%, right? And so you have to go into this and understand that people are relying on you. They're not trusting you to go up there and get involved in the, in the whatever the national issue of the day is that's on TV and going back and forth. People in this district really have problems that they need the federal government to be there to help fix. The federal government, I don't think, is a solution to everything, as you don't.
Yeah, you know what Ronald Reagan said, don't you? He said the worst thing you can hear is, I'm from the federal government, I'm here to help you.
Well, Ronald Reagan also said believe in Reaganomics, and we saw what happened there.
I did all right. I did all right. I did all right.
Well, you, right?
Yeah.
The I, right?
Yeah.
But we know when we look at the total package of what happened, the we did not do as good, right? The we being poor black people, the we being
I'm one of them
people.
too.
Well, but you, right? Like you, right? And that's fine, and God bless you, right? And we want everybody to do it, but when you go through those policies, and I'll get back to the question, but when you analyze the tax policy through that mechanism, through Reaganomics, we saw what happened. Like poverty rates increased, the opportunity gap increased, right? Yes, a certain percentage of black people, and
which is the same thing as always has been. It's always been a certain percentage of people moving up, and there are those who don't.
But when you take government resources away from the people who need them the most, right? You actually you put them in a place where their success is severely hampered. We can go back to Reaganomics, but to answer your question, right?
Yeah.
I view the role of a congressman kind of threefold. One, spelled out in the Constitution, power of appropriations, right? Like you go there with the best help to provide the best effort that you can to pull back the federal resources to your district to address the local priorities, the local initiatives, whether that's infrastructure, whether that's defense spending, whatever it is. That's one. Two, I view the role of a sitting congressperson as being able to help local constituencies navigate through the complexities of a federal government process, whether that's VA benefits, whether that's Social Security issues, whether that's, immigration-related issues, State Department getting the passport, whatever it is, being that sort of conduit. for people. Third, I view it as being the biggest lobbyist, advocate, and cheerleader for your district that you possibly can be in every respect. The federal government, and I think the role of a congressman, is much greater than just going to the actual Capitol. The federal government is huge. It's encompassed by a variety of agencies. And so I think, yes, if you limit your perspective to what a congressman can do.
It is overly cumbersome.
It's big. It is. Absolutely.
And it was never intended to be this big, as a matter of fact.
Look, I don't disagree with that. But neither you nor I had a hand in getting into
Let's take a call for you. Somebody wants to talk to you for a second. Good morning. You're on there with Shomari Figures. Let me make sure I get.
Yes.
Good morning.
That Bidenomics is working as well as Reaganomics, ain't it? I don't even think they're using the term anymore.
He said the Bidenomics is working as good as the Reaganomics.
Yeah.
You said Bidenomics?
I have 2 questions for you, Mr. Figures.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. What's your name?
Don Lowry.
Don, pleasure to meet you, man.
Mr. Figures.
Yes, sir.
You said you were running on restoring women's reproductive rights. How are you going to do that? And the second thing is, are you okay with a baby, a healthy mama, aborting a baby in the 3rd trimester, 9th month, right before delivery? Would you stop that?
No, absolutely not. I'm not. Well, absolutely not. I'm not supportive of that. Not that I wouldn't.
So what limitations would you put on abortion since you're going to restore it?
So look, I would like Roe to be codified. I would like to go back into a world where the law under Roe v. Wade was codified.
You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that.
Well,
the Supreme Court said it was a state thing. It's not it's not in the Constitution.
It's not in the Constitution, but that does not prohibit a federal law.
And I wonder how you're going to restore it and if you're going to put any limits on it.
Well, listen to me. This is what we would do.
I'm trying to.
Well, you're talking too now. You ain't really trying to listen. You can't listen and talk at the same time. So listen. So I believe that the law under Roe v. Wade should be the federal law. The Supreme Court said that states don't have to abide by it in the form of a constitutional right. That does not mean that Congress cannot pass a federal law that actually governs this aspect of it. And so that's my position of it. Is that the law as it was.
But you said you were going to restore women's reproductive rights, and you said you're for limits. What are your limits?
Are you familiar with what the limits were in Roe v. Wade?
I don't know if they. Well, tell me what they are, because I'm not that smart.
Well,
what limits are you willing to put on it?
Roe v. Wade was the law under Roe v. Wade was around the point of viability. Right, and that is
so
where that is the. Well, listen, you listen to the science. I forget the exact month. I believe it was around 4th or 5th month post conception. But at the end of the day,
so you wouldn't have abortion after the 4th month. That's what you're saying.
What I am telling you is I would support federal legislation to codify Roe versus Wade and take us back to where we. No, I'm telling you what I'm saying.
That would allow the child not to be aborted after viability. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
So what month is that? Shomari Figures, you're going to restore the rights. What month will you stop abortion?
So listen. Roe v. Wade, codifying Roe v. Wade.
So you can't say a month.
Well, we just talked about a couple of months, right? I don't want to go back to because there were a number of cases that defined.
You got a mouth. Say what month that is.
Listen. Stop talking and listen. All right. And you'll hear.
You're not saying anything, Mr. Figures. That's the problem.
No.
Okay. Well, let's go to another call. Good morning, on there.
Good morning, Kevin.
Morning.
Good morning to your guests. Sir, what year did you graduate LaFleur?
I graduated LaFleur 2003.
Hoorah, hoorah. My son's a 2001 grad of LaFleur.
Oh, yeah? What's his name?
As a matter of fact, Stephen Clark.
Stephen Clark. So I went to middle school with Stephen Clark at Phillips.
Hoorah. Matter of fact, he got an engineering degree up there at Auburn.
At Auburn, yeah.
He works at the engineering department up there as we speak.
Yeah, I know Stephen.
The reason I asked, you know, LaFleur and Viger was rejuvenated my career in the Marine Corps. My job was being phased out, and I had a choice of drill instructor or recruiter. And I went down to Mobile and Viger and LaFleur, to let your audience know, one of the brightest schools in this country. We put somebody listening at you, rejuvenated me. And so I'm glad you're a candidate. You got me popped up because now I'm neck and neck with your challenger. And you may have crossed that line when you let me know you're a grad of LaFleur High School.
Well, no, I appreciate it, man.
I just want to throw that out. Yeah, also, I just wanted to, I just got a problem with this abortion thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think a woman on Judgment Day, when she faces God, she got to deal with what she does with her body.
Mm-hmm.
And you got the old gray-haired men that done went back to the 14th Amendment and want to control people of color and women.
Mm-hmm.
And that bothers me. And I'm hoping you can go up there with whatever percentage you have. Kevin got it down to inches. But when you get up there to try to work with the other side and come up with some logical solutions where God is still in control, and whatever people do on Judgment Day, they going to either be in front of me or behind me. Have a great day.
All right. Appreciate it. Shomari Figures is with us, the congressional candidate for the newly drawn District 2. The runoff is next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday,
yeah,
from tomorrow.
Next Tuesday. Good morning, on air.
Hey, good morning, Kevin. Good morning to your guests.
Good morning, man.
Mr. Figure, you're a very articulate young man. You're a great speaker. But these are my concerns. I live in Montgomery, not Mobile.
Yes, sir.
I watch a lot of your commercials, and you hit on something that is hard to me, which is our civil rights and all of the history that took place in Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been on the ground for over 26 years, and that's been an issue of mine for some long time. But I never saw you there, the marches, the protesters, the brawl. But you hammer on something that touched the heart of a lot of people, and that's the history of Montgomery. So I would like to know, what would be some of your concerns to validate the commercial that you have out there? What would you do for Montgomery? And then I ask this question, I make a statement, I get off the air. Montgomery City Council, Montgomery County Commission, many of the state representatives that represent Montgomery is telling us to vote for Daniels. What type of relationship do you have with Montgomery? Or would you put Mobile first before Montgomery? Civil rights, what are your plans? And then the second question is, the elected official here is telling us to vote for Daniel. Why is that, and why they are not saying to vote for you? And I hang up and listen to your response.
All right, so I will address them in turn. So, look, I've said it before that I think that there are two very unique cities in this district that have played a very outsized role in making America be true to what is said on paper, and that is Tuskegee and Montgomery. You asked a question about Montgomery specifically. Look, the rights that this country loves to wave the flag high on across this country and across this world in some respects, those rights were organized for, they were strategized for, fought for, marched for, protested for, bled for, died for, right here in Montgomery. America owes Montgomery for that. Because America loves to claim that we are the home of the free, or land of the free, and home of the brave, but Montgomery is the one that made America really look itself in the mirror and actually step up to the plate and be more free, especially here for black people. And so those are the same rights that are enjoyed from coast to coast and in some cases across this world. And Montgomery did that, hands down. Like that's a fact. And in my personal, my humble opinion, you have cities and towns that were very core to the founding of this, at the core to the founding of this nation, i.e., your Bostons and your New Yorks and Washington D.C., back in the 17 and early 1800s. But from my opinion, there is no city more important to America than Montgomery, Alabama, when you look at it from the standpoint of the 20th and 21st centuries and the contributions that the people in this city made to the conscience and the fabric of America.
We have to go to a break here, so can you stick around for about half hour more?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And I'll pick right back up.
Okay, we'll be back after these messages. You're a 90s baby.
Absolutely. No, I'm an 80s baby.
80s baby.
Yeah, I'm a 90s music, 90s R&B guy, but I'm an 80s baby.
Okay, then. We'll be back. Shomari Figures, candidate for the U.S. Congress.
Now, your WSFA 12 news update on News Radio 1440.
Good morning, I'm Judd Davis. Here's what's happening in the news on this Monday. A tough bonus.
Listen to News Radio 1440 at work. NewsRadio1440.com. At home through your Alexa or Google smart home device. Depend on it. News Radio 1440.
Okay, before we get back to our guest, let's have a serious talk, and it's about a killer, and its name, of course, is fentanyl. Did you know that more than 1,400 Alabamians died in 2021 from drug overdoses? It's time to have a conversation about substance abuse. Hope is real. Recovery is real. So if you are a family member or even a friend is suffering from substance use disorder, please call the Council on Substance Abuse, or otherwise known as COSA, C-O-S-A, right now. And that number is 334-262-1629, or go to COSANCADD.org. Let's get you some help today, right now, because drugs and alcohol not only affect you, it affects people around you, people you love, and more importantly, the people that love you. So give them a call, 334-262-1629, 334-262-1629, and get the help you need right now. That's COSA, the Council on Substance Abuse. Here's that number one more time, 334-262-1629. Get some help you need today. Our numbers here are 860-1440 if you want to give us a call. Our guest this morning is Mr. Shomari Figures. And he's here to answer your questions, but he wanted to get back, and then I go back to the phone, but you wanted to finish a statement.
Absolutely, on the previous question. So that's my position, as I stated on Montgomery, that America owes Montgomery for the role that for the price that America and that Montgomery and the investment that Montgomery made into the conscience and fabric of what this country is and the rights that we enjoy. You asked what I would do in that respect, and so look, I think that starts with advocating and understanding in Washington of that debt that is owed to Montgomery, and making sure that America prioritizes in the form of appropriations Montgomery. I think we should be vested and invested in Montgomery, and making sure that it is a thriving city, making sure that it is a place where America sees itself. And so to not invest in Montgomery and to not have a congressperson that's there fighting and waving that flag every single day to actually bring the investments here to Montgomery for the local, to support the local and regional priorities, to make sure that Montgomery is thriving and is as economically viable and providing the types of future and jobs for the future here as possible. I think that has to be the focal point of somebody going to Congress representing this region. You asked if I would put Mobile over Montgomery. Look, absolutely not. Listen, there is and the inverse is not true either. We have to be able to walk and chew gum at the exact same time. I come from Mobile. There are investments that we have to make in Mobile that will influence this region and this district as a whole. And likewise with Montgomery and every other city in this in town in this district. The last piece you asked about the local officials who here in Montgomery have endorsed Anthony Daniels. Listen, look, nobody in this race is entitled to anybody's support, not me or not him. We all have endorsements. I've received them as well. And we have more that will be rolling out. The entire Mobile State House delegation has endorsed myself. All of the Democratic elected city councilmen in Mobile have endorsed myself. I think there's been one city council person up here that has endorsed Mr. Daniels, as well as some state representatives. And so, listen, at the end of the day, this race is not about endorsements. This race is about getting out to the voters and getting out to the people who will actually be most impacted by representation here. And so the other part that I would say is on the endorsements. There were 9 candidates who did not advance in this runoff. One has not endorsed anyone, and we enjoy the support of 7 of the remaining 8. So they see in us the experience that's necessary to go to Washington and push this district forward.
Good morning. On there with Shomari Figures.
Hello.
Yes.
Is that me?
That's you.
Good morning.
Okay. Good morning,
it's you.
Mr. Figures. How are you going to treat Montgomery due to those who think they are the political experts in this city. How are you going to treat Montgomery despite the fact that some of their so-called leaders, the people that tell us what to do, don't support you? Is that going to affect the people in Montgomery? Don't hang up, Kevin.
So listen, what I'll tell you
I'm being serious now, and you know where I'm coming from.
No, absolutely. So
are you going to disprove?
No, look, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong. But the core of that question seems to be: will I be vindictive towards Montgomery if I'm elected, given
exactly.
the people who have not supported me? Listen, I'm stumbling because it's not even in my core No, I'm saying the reason you hear stuttering is because it's so not in my core that I'm struggling to find the right words to tell you how strongly I am against that concept. Nobody in this race is entitled to anybody's support, period. Those elected officials are entitled to endorse whoever they want for whatever reasons they want to. The same reason the elected officials in other places have endorsed me. And I look, you go up there to not work for the elected officials, right? And those elected officials don't tell you what to do, right? They serve at the pleasure of you, just like I would serve at the pleasure of you. At the end of the day, you go up there and you take the interests of the constituents to Washington, D.C. You don't take the interests of just an elected official, or countywide, citywide, or statewide. You go up there and you have your moral compass pointing towards what you think is north and what you think is right, and you hear the voices and you hear the concerns and the issues that matter most to the people in this district, and that's what you take to Washington, D.C. to represent, regardless of where an elected official falls on that spectrum in terms of supporting you initially. The other piece I'll say to that is this. Right now, this is the part of the game where we're trying to figure out who we put from our team on the Democratic side to represent us in November.
Okay, let me take it. I got a lot of folks. I don't want you to preach, Reverend, but
okay.
I understand.
But we got to come together is what I was getting.
Good morning, on air.
Good morning.
Yes.
Man, you finally came on the show. I've been trying to get you on for a couple of weeks. I'm the one be talking out loud, calling you out, sir. I heard your challenger, Mr. Daniels. He laid out his platform a few weeks ago on Calvin's show. Told us what he's done already, in regards to the overtime pay, and different things he's done. And I sat here listening to you for the last 30 minutes. You hadn't laid out a platform. You guys talking about Mobile and Montgomery, but Mr. Daniels from a small town. I'm from a small town, Monroe County area. You familiar with that area, sir?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm born and raised in that area, and he's talked about the rural areas, doing things for the people, okay, throughout the state, throughout that whole district, okay? So lay out your platform, what you've done so far, and what your plans are for the people. Like Mr. Daniel laid out his platform as all of his checks and balances and stuff like that. What he's done, he can rely to his platform.
So look, we've been in different places in our careers. I've been in federal government, working in federal government on a variety of different issues that touch the state of Alabama as a whole. So listen, from a platform perspective is this. The most challenging issue and the most pressing issue that I found in this race is literally life itself in this district. If you're born in the state of Alabama, you're expected to die.
Don't hang up on the camera, please, sir.
If you're born in the state of Alabama, you're expected to die before anybody else born anywhere else in the United States, except two other states that got us beat by a few months. I'm sure everybody can guess one of those states. It's Mississippi. The other is West Virginia. Right? And yet we're in a state where we refuse to expand Medicaid. We're in a state where people are dying the soonest of anywhere else in the United States, but we're refusing to actually expand Medicaid. So priority number one is getting back up to Washington, D.C. and making sure that we pass federal legislation to re-incentivize the state of Alabama to do what 45 other states have already done, and expand how many people actually have access to quality and affordable health care options within their communities.
Well, the Republicans are going to block all of that, sir.
I'm sorry?
You know that. The Republicans are going to block all of that. The Republican Party runs this state, so
they do run the state.
Was able to get things done. He was able to get things done all about.
Well, why haven't we expanded Medicaid then? Right. So this is a real conversation.
You got
right?
to talk to Governor. You got to talk to Governor Ivey about that one, okay?
Well, we can't give him credit for the things you like and then run to Governor Ivey about the things we don't like.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, look, we have to go, and he would tell you the same priority. he would tell you the same thing, that you got to go to Washington, D.C. and actually pass the federal law again to try to re-incentivize the state to actually take advantage of it.
I guess a different question to you. What have you tried to get done, or what have you done or tried to get done, sir, that you failed on?
Appreciate it. He said, what have you tried to do or get done that you failed at?
What have I tried to get done that I have failed at? Listen, when I worked in the Obama White House, I was domestic director of the Presidential Personnel Office. What that meant was we built out the teams that actually went into the federal agencies that actually implemented the policies across the federal government. Most notably, and what I like to really, that I'm very proud of, is this is the teams that actually went in and implemented the Affordable Care Act to make sure that the states actually had the opportunity to actually expand out Medicaid, which Alabama has failed to do for almost 15 years to this point. Working to also President Obama's administration put together the task force on 21st century policing in response to what happened in Ferguson to address the modernized aspect of how police were interacting with communities, particularly communities of color across this country. Proud to have had a role in that. Worked on President Obama's clemency initiative, which actually freed almost 1,500 people, mostly black and brown people, from the from unconscionably long prison sentences under the old crack cocaine sentencing laws for low-level nonviolent drug offenders. Dozens of people in the state of Alabama benefited from that work, right? So it's not about it's not a matter of not having had positive impacts on the state of Alabama and the things that we want to do here. It's about what's the vision that we have for this district and who's best equipped to go to Washington and actually get it done.
Good morning on air.
Hey, good morning, Elton Man.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
All right, Elton Man, this is Boogie Ray. Mm-hmm. Hey, Mr. Figures, this is directed toward you.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm not as well known. My voice is not as powerful as these, quote, politicos all across the delegation that's supporting you. But for me, Mr. Figures, the most important thing is what Democrat is best equipped to take out or beat the Republican. Initially, Mr. Figures, I was a Daniels lean until I watched that debate. I went back and forth between you and Ms. Coleman. I actually ended up voting for Ms. Coleman, but the minute those results came in, I knew I was going to vote for you in the runoff and the general. Good luck. I think you are the man. And another thing, I have never seen people that are in that other camp want to punish your success because you chose to go pursue your career goals. But you got this, you going to win this, and I think you're going to be one hell of a representative for District 2. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate
it. Now, let me ask you something. Anybody who listens to me for a while on the radio know that one of my pet peeves is this transgender activism going on in America. We've got people's jobs at risk because they don't want to call a man a woman that we know is a man. We've got men who are participating in women's sports strictly by saying that I think I'm a woman. Enough of this crap. Okay, we live science, and like the woman who went up for the Supreme Court had the mitigated gall to insult my intelligence and tell me she couldn't define a woman. Okay, somebody once said, Nikita Khrushchev said in 1960, he said, America is becoming a place where he called us some kind of idiots because we attach ourselves to things that are just absolutely stupefy me. Okay. First of all, scientifically, a male is a male and a woman is a woman. Mm-hmm. What you are, what you do when you get off work is up to you. Mm-hmm. Who you do it with is up to you. But we are beginning to turn our country into something that it doesn't need to be. Science and God decided male and female. So should we give people, because they're mentally ill, okay, and think they're a woman when they're a man, and think they're a man when they're a woman, should we give them special privileges because they're weird?
So what I disagree with is the description of them as weird or mentally ill, right? Like
so a man who thinks he's not a man who thinks he's a woman is not mentally ill?
I'm not a psychologist, and neither are you.
You sound like you said no, but you and I both have common sense. We got common sense.
We both have common sense, but I'm not going to describe somebody as mentally ill for how they.
Well, they did until 1975.
Well, they describe black people as a lot of things up until a certain point.
Only based on color.
Okay. So that's a slippery slope. I will tell you this, man. Look, on this issue, we've been traveling around this district since October, campaigning in this office, or for this office. You know how many times this issue has come up?
How many times?
This is the first.
That's because everybody else has been indoctrinated.
No, I don't think it's that they've been indoctrinated. I'm sure people feel different ways about it, but what I think what that's reflective of is this: is that, man, look, we had a debate that it actually airs tonight at 4:00.
Yeah,
that we recorded last week, and the question about TikTok came up, right? And my response to that question was similar to this. Like, it's I told them, I said, look, people got a lot of problems across this district, and we've been traveling around this district. TikTok ain't one of the things that people worry about. People got real.
Well, TikTok don't care about, but
at the end of the day, look, I think your underlying sentiment is about is about the direction America is headed, as it relates to some issues that some people view as fringe issues, and look,
that affect all of us on our jobs, our society. We already got to explain to our children, Daddy, well, why that man kissing a man? I mean, we already got to explain these to our, because even kids know that there's a natural order of things.
I won't go so far as to say that as it relates to LGBT people. Look, this is America. You can be free to be whoever
I agree with
you
you.
want to be.
I totally agree.
And
but
so how we explain that to children?
But do we put people's job in jeopardy because they won't call a man a woman?
I don't think anybody's job should be in jeopardy.
It has happened
for their feelings on certain matters.
But it is,
as long as you. Well, look, I'm not familiar with the specifics of the case that you're talking about. But at the end of the day, look, here's what I believe: that we shouldn't be punishing people for how they feel on either side of it.
Feeling is good. I got no problem with feeling.
We shouldn't be punishing people for how how they identify. Right? Like, it's at the end of the day, like, we have to understand that you may not always agree with what somebody wants to do, or what somebody says, or how they feel that they are internally. But at the end of the day, this is America, and they have the right to do that.
They got a right to feel any way they want to.
But we're not discriminating against people.
But when you make public policy, which is what you'll be doing if you make it up there, when you make public policy with those things in mind, where people can lose their jobs because their common sense and their natural God-given sense tells them you are a man. But I've got to call you Mrs. or Miss somebody. Now and people will start losing their jobs on these things. So should government even get involved in that then? Since it's what people feel and not what they are.
Look, I think government should always be involved in making sure that people have full rights, equity, and just general fairness and opportunity.
As a human being, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Right, like but you got to understand, like, today we're talking about LGBT.
Who changed it?
Right. Yesterday, it was black people, right? And
we born black. We born black, so I understand that. But we either born one sex or the other, male or female. That's what we're born. You can't now. What you think you are, and you're being a little politically correct on me here, because scientifically and biologically, you are either one or the other. You're not both. You're not in between. You're one or the other. So should I lose my job because I refuse to call you a she when I know you're a he?
I don't think we should be regulating, and nor do I think the government actually regulate. There's not a law. There's literally not a law. So
there's policies.
Well, but hold on, no. Let's be real now. Let's be real about this, right? Like we can. This ain't punchline politics, right? Like, let's be real. There's not a single law anywhere in the United States of America.
Policy.
Hold on. Hold on now. There's not a single law anywhere in the United States of America that requires a private company or a government employer to address anybody by anything, except maybe in the military. They may make you address certain people by their title and rank, right? So that's from my perspective. That's
we got a woman right now in the department, a man that puts on a wig, and your buddy up there made him head of some department up there. Everybody knows it's a man. He put on a wig. What's his name? It's a he, but he's in the health sciences, I believe, up there. You know what I'm talking about? The guy who walked around with a dress and a wig on. So if look, you can't, that's crazy. Look, what that is.
No, I don't think it's crazy if that's how that person identifies. Okay. That's fine.
So if I identify as the president of the United States, can I go up there and get my office?
Well, that's a position. That's not
let me take a call.
You can go and try, but at the end of the day, I just don't. I'm always going to prioritize not discriminating.
Good morning, on air.
But doing things that make
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Mr. Figures.
Good morning.
Couple of questions real quick. One, in regards to this last topic, you believe a 6'5" man should be able to compete against a 5'11", a 6'5" individual that's identifying, that says they're transgender now, should be able to compete against a 5'11" woman in, say, basketball?
No.
Why not?
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Common sense has not left the building.
I think that there are solutions. I think there are solutions in some of these spaces that are going to be unique in different environments, in different contexts, right? Like and actually, I think the Biden administration's stance on this, because it has come up in some title, in some education policy that they've put out, that's actually reflective of just that. So, but I digress. Go ahead. What's the next question?
Well, question number two. You said you were at the Justice Department for a short stint under the Obama administration. Were you there when the Fast and Furious hearings were going on?
I was not. No, sir. That was before.
Okay.
I think Fast and Furious happened around Fast and Furious, if I believe correctly, happened around 2010, 2011. But I was not there, no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, gotta take a break. We'll come back, give Mr. Figures the last word and why he should be selected above all others for this reorganized District 2. We'll be back.
Montgomery Skywatch traffic brought to you by Sons Automotive, family owned, family driven, on News Radio 1440.
Sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on anyone else. So if you drive safely, you could save money. Good to know. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote today.
Good morning, Montgomery. This smooth commute on a Monday is continuing. Nothing new has been reported. No new accidents that will send you.
/RADIO.
With Kevin Elkins in the morning, Dan Bongino for the midday, and Sean Hannity for your afternoon. It's News Radio 1440 all day. Depend on it.
All right, we're back. It's good talking to a Democrat the first thing in the morning. Gets my blood boiling. 8:33 in the morning. Let me take two calls for you. Yeah, I'll take two calls for you, then I'll let you give me the last thing. Good morning, on air.
How you doing? I just want to ask a quick question. Mm-hmm. When you were in Washington, D.C., yes, sir. Did you work for the Attorney General, or did you work for Human Resources? And what was your duties in the job that you held in D.C.?
When I worked for the Attorney General, or when I worked for...
Did you work for the Attorney General, or did you work for Human Resources? Which job did you hold, and what was your duties?
This sounds like one of those questions from the other side that they planted. So let me break it down for you. When I left my most recent stint for the Attorney General, my title was Deputy Chief of Staff and Counselor to the Attorney General.
Okay.
All right. So I worked for the Attorney General of the United States, directly for the Attorney General of the United States.
Good morning. Good morning on air. Quickly. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning on air.
Call me when you leave.
I'm leaving.
That's Roscoe's friend right there. Anyway, you get the last word. Tell us why you're the best guy for the job in your mind.
Listen, this job is one that requires us to be able to go to Washington, D.C. and have somebody that can hit the ground running on day one. Someone that's been there, that knows federal government, that knows how it works, and knows how we can actually best position this district to be the beneficiary of it. Montgomery ain't Washington, D.C. I don't care what you say. It's not. It's a different animal. It's a different beast. It's a different process. There are different cast of characters. There are different things that have to be done in order to put this district in a place of success, and I've been there. I'm the only person in this race that's actually worked in Congress, the only person in this race that's worked across all three branches of federal government. I know how it works, right? And so, you know, there's this spiel where I hear some people saying like, oh, there's a difference in being a politician and working for a politician. Absolutely right. And if you've ever spent a day in Washington, D.C., you know that the staff on the ground there are the most informed, the most educated, and the most knowledgeable people about all of these issues, because that's what we've devoted our careers to doing, is actually working to make progress around these issues, right? The relationships are incredibly important in Washington, D.C., right? And I've been there. I'm the only candidate in this race that's actually endorsed by sitting members of Congress. People ask me, what would you do if you were elected to Congress? What would you do for Montgomery? To actually go back to that point, like you go in and you leverage those relationships for it. As it relates to Maxwell Gunter, like literally one of the first member of Congress to endorse me is Congressman Sanford Bishop. Sanford Bishop is actually the senior Democrat on the Defense Appropriations Subcommittee. That means every defense dollar that's spent in the United States of America actually goes through Sanford Bishop. Right, so having those relationships is important to be able to go down and sit with Congressman Bishop to explain to him like what we're trying to get done here in Montgomery around Maxwell Gunter. At the end of the day, you need somebody that's in this district, that lives in this district, that shows you that they value and care and respect you enough to actually live in the district that they're asking you to vote for. Like at the end of the day, you do not, you know, can you imagine somebody telling you, hey, or if you're married, your spouse telling you, hey, I'll stop dating all these other people after you marry me. Right, it don't make common sense,
well,
right?
She got to make sure she got you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll stop dating all these other people after you marry me. No, it's about commitment. It's about dedication. It's about showing people that you're actually vested enough and believing in them enough to actually live amongst them, right? The reason my opponent doesn't, like, just to put the cards on the table, the reason my opponent doesn't want to live in this district is because he would have to resign his role that he currently has if he moved to Montgomery, and he don't want to do that. He don't want to risk it. This opportunity is not worth that risk for him. I know about resigning. I know about picking up life as you know it and relocating somewhere else because you believe in the possibility of the good that you can do in this position, because I did that. Like, I resigned from my government position to do it, right? So it's about dedication. It's about commitment. It's about having people know that if you are elected, you're going to prioritize them. You're going to prioritize the cities and towns in your district and not have to worry about whether or not I'm going to be sending resources to Huntsville. They will be coming to District 2, and that is for sure.
One thing, death penalty. Should we as a nation get rid of it?
Man, listen, the death penalty has too long and too far and too many times been used against people who look like me when they were innocent, when there was evidence to prove that they were innocent, and when they were victimized by a system that was more focused on killing them than the truth. And so within that realm, I cannot condone a system that has that level of potential for flaws in it. Death is permanent, man. You don't get that back. And we got people that have been put on death row for crimes that they did not commit. We've also seen that even with having the death penalty in the United States, the homicide rates down. No, right? So don't sit here and tell me that it's a deterrent when the factual data indicates otherwise. So listen, it's a state issue, right? The death penalty is actually in the Constitution for one crime, I believe. So it's a state issue. So the states, deal with it on a state by state basis. But as for me, look, as a black man in the United States that grew up here, I cannot condone it because I have seen the propensity for its misuse, and I've seen it far too many times. And one innocent man being executed for something that he didn't do, or one innocent woman is one too many. And so that's my perspective.
So it's up to you. I think it's time for us to get rid of it too. One more thing: there are too many people dying in the prisons of Alabama. Last year, across this nation, we put 24 people to death nationwide in the prison system. Montgomery, Alabama had 325 people killed last year in our prison who didn't go in there for the death penalty but ended up dead anyway. In prison, yeah. Somebody needs to get serious about this and not just give us lip service about this, because it could be me, it could be somebody, and everybody in prison don't belong there. Mm-hmm. But everybody in prison is there. No, so somebody needs it. We need a congressional investigation into why so many people, 325 versus 24 nationwide. Mm-hmm. Can you fathom that?
Well, I mean, that's comparing, prison death rates to execution rates nationwide.
They are executed. They were executed.
No, I'm with you. I'm not. I just want to make sure that people understand the comparison here. It's far more than 24 people who died in other prisons across the country. But listen,
right? But I'm talking about
I get it.
Yeah.
But the Department of Justice, while I was there, filed a lawsuit against the state of Alabama.
They always file a lawsuit. They didn't stop nobody from dying.
Well, it's also not stopping the state of Alabama from defending against that lawsuit in a way that's prolonging its ability to be able to do exactly and maintain the conditions that have been there that lead to a lot of this, right? Like, Alabama has the highest incarceration rate in the nation.
Right? And why is that?
Well, I think it's a variety of factors, right? I think it's because I think there's some historical ramifications there. I think it's a product of a lot of outdated criminal justice policies in terms of sentencing and in terms of crimes that we think warrant people going. Look, jail should be for people who we think are prison should be for people who we think are a risk to public
society,
safety, right? Exactly, and that's not how we do it here. We use it as a punitive measure, thinking that people who are we have far too many people in these prisons that are back on probation revocations for very minor offenses that led to the
But do you know what irks us as civilians out here? What irks us with politicians? Mm-hmm. The most prevalent word that comes out of a politician's mouth once he gets elected, well, I really can't do anything about that. We are so sick and tired of paying people $174,000 a year, and that's just the money we know about. And then to hear from them all the time, state two, well, I can't see the governor. I can't do this, and I can't. When the hell is somebody going to be able to do something after they come tell us to vote for me? So the prison thing, it's been going on since you've been born, since I've been here, since 91. It's been going, I mean, when are we going to get people in office that can act? And if that means locking yourself to the governor's door, to the president's door, to the secretary's door, and not moving, going to jail for us, so trying to make a point, then somebody needs to do that. Because what we get tired of hearing, I can't do anything about that. Then why in the hell did you run for office?
In the first place.
In the first place.
So listen, I agree with you. So here's well, I agree to an extent with you. I agree that people that
you agree with me all the way, but I'm but that's okay.
On this statement, I agree with you.
Yeah.
On the aspect of just saying I can't do it is not a valid answer to any question, right? Like now there are certain things that are not within the purview of Congress to deal with, right? Like and we'll get those
right.
Like if you got an issue with
fighting and advocacy is something that every congressman
has the capacity to do. And you should do it. We will do it. Absolutely.
Oh, one more thing.
Yes, sir.
You get up there, if you get up there.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to come on phone, be in town. I realize I'm not a Democrat, but however, I'm not a Republican either.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe in right logic and reason. Now, logic and reason is something the Democratic Party sometimes seems to forget, but I'll remind you periodically.
Look, I think the other side seems to forget it too.
We'll talk to them too if they in fact. But
logically, when your people are dying faster than everybody else, you should be expanding health care options for them in the state.
Well, that's right. Or maybe we should stop eating so many chitlins and pork chops.
Well, if you got the health care, you can actually get that.
But I like pork chop myself, though. I like pork chop myself. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you. Don't let this be the last time.
Absolutely not.
If you win, come up there, come up and see it via the phone. You don't have to come in the office, but and the problem is, just like our local legislators, we don't want to hear about the game once it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know what's going on while the game is being played.
You absolutely have to, and that starts with having the team locally that's actually working with people and keeping people engaged, and which we will do. I mean, I've worked in Congress before, so I've seen what it looks like to actually have that open dialogue and that staffing and that support to actually make sure you're remaining informed of what's going on locally, but more importantly, being able to communicate with people.
Now, it's easy to say why you ain't there, but if you get there, now I'm going to hold you to these words. I'm going to play them back over and over and over and over again.
You don't have to play them back because the deeds will speak for themselves.
Okay. And I saw your 3 little children. Beautiful kids.
Thank you.
Beautiful kids.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. Shomari Figures, is there a way people can reach you, email or?
Absolutely. FiguresForCongress.com. There's an outreach there to submit questions, to submit anything that you need. April 16th is the election day.
Which is next Tuesday.
Look, we were very fortunate in March. We've received 44% of the vote in an 11-candidate field. But we are in a runoff election now against my opponent, who received about 21% of the vote then. And look, we got to do everything we can to motivate people to get back out to the polls and vote, and vote as if your life depended on it, because it was fought for and died for right here in Montgomery, Alabama.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
We'll be back.
Your WSFA First Alert Weather Forecast on News Radio 1440.
Sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you. With
From a mosquito.
He had a reaction to cockroach allergens.
Threats to your health can come from unexpected places. Get the facts. Visit pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association.
Join Sean Hannity Sundays at 3 p.m. for the Encore Show.
Chinese, the Russians, don't fear Joe Biden.
On News Radio 1440.
Things ain't right. I'm losing again. Takes a fool to lose twice. Start all over again. Think I better let it go. Looks like another love TKO.
And we are back. Good morning. It is 8:51 in the morning here on News Radio 1440. Shomari Figures, interesting young man, bright and intelligent. You know, we have 2 people running for that on the Democratic side. Two pretty good guys. I don't. You know, if I was a Democrat, I wouldn't really have a problem of voting for either one of them. You know, but I lean to the right, so you know, I don't normally go with that because I just don't believe in that abortion stuff. I just can't do it. Yeah. 860-1440 is the number here. Good morning, on air.
Good morning, little friend.
Yes.
How you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine.
I was daily bread was telling us this morning, Kevin. A great day to love God, because He made this day. And Kevin, Mark 15:16. He that believeth and baptized shall be saved, but he that believeth not shall be damned. So if anybody don't believe what the Bible says, do you know where they're going? I know. Do you?
I'll let you answer your own question.
Okay, well, they're going to hell.
Okay.
Have a good day, my friend.
All righty then. 8:53 in the morning. Good morning. Who's this?
All right, Mr. Elkins. I got a long day. I'm going to go ahead and get my call on out of the way to respond to Mr. Figures here. Kelvin, I wasn't sold at all the things he said, because he didn't say anything. I mean, we asked him what was his platform, what was his plan. You know, I didn't hear anything about the broadband expansion and rural hospitals in these areas. People want to hear substance. What you going to do for the community? We don't hear a damn thing about who's, tossing the corn over, fighting over Mobile and Montgomery. It's not about that. It's about the whole area. He didn't talk about anything he was going to do. He talked about Medicaid expansion, which I think the governor took this money and built prison or something with that money they set down here. What happened to that money they set down here, Cal?
You got me.
You know they sent some money down here one time for the state of Alabama to do something with it, and they didn't send the money back. I heard they built prisons with it, part of it. But Mr. Figures didn't tell us what he's going to do. Did you hear anything that wowed you?
Well, I mean, I rarely hear anything that wows me from Democrats at all. But on the other hand,
what's my point is compared to Mr. Daniels. Mr. Daniels came out here and laid out what his plan was for the rural areas.
And again,
I'm from a small town, so I'm on band with taking care of the small people.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Okay?
Let me ask you a question. I don't believe that if one of those individuals win and it don't go to the Republicans, listen, we're going to have philosophical differences no matter who wins. I don't think.
My point is, Kevin, this Mr. Anthony, he got things he can stand behind what he got done.
Well, tell me what
deal done.
Well, what are the planks? What are one of the planks in Daniel's platform that you like?
The overtime deal, and he talking about
that's a state thing, though.
Okay,
yeah,
I just said taking care of the rural hospitals and make sure people got access to hospitals and
okay, that's in the Constitution,
the internet and all that stuff.
Right.
He's talking about all that. He's talking about it.
Okay,
Mr. Bigger ain't said anything about how he wrote Obama coattail. We don't give a damn about what who you hung out with, sir. We want to hear about what the hell you gonna do. That's what I want to hear.
All right.
I didn't hear that, Kevin. I don't know what this other person come out voting for him. What he said to make you vote for him, sir?
Well,
that's all I got.
Yeah,
that's my opinion now. That's my opinion.
That's your opinion. I ain't mad at you.
What year he finished high school?
I think he said 2003,
something like that.
2003, yeah.
Yeah, my daughter finished 2004, so they trying to trick us old schoolers with some nonsense like, here, tell me what you got. Tell me what you got and what you're working with.
All right, appreciate it. Got to take another call because I'm running out of time. Good morning. Who's this?
Good morning.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Listen, I think the people in Montgomery County can make a decision, a sound decision. I listen to the forums, going to the forums, and listen to the candidates. I don't think we need anyone to tell us which one of the guys to vote for because they both are outside of Montgomery County, outside of the district. So why not stop the confusion, the mudslinging, listen to what they have to say, and make your sound decision, intelligent decision. We don't need nobody to come on the air anywhere and tell us who to vote and who's voting for whom out of the two. That's what the runoff is for on the 16th. Everybody has a brain and can think logically who they want, and by now, everybody knows whom they're going to vote for. So
pretty much, yeah, that's true. The only person I haven't talked to is this person running against Brubaker. See if I can reach out to her.
Her.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to ask, is she the chosen one? Because she's doing the Trump thing. And like I tell people, in the end, you're going to have to choose between a Republican and a Democrat. And when you sling mud during the primary, during the runoff, when it's time for the general election, you got to have those same people you already teed off to come vote against.
Yeah.
And that's where your numbers are not going to appear. So why not be fair, be honest, and answer with respect?
Yeah.
And throwing mud and digging ditches is not going to get you anywhere. And that has proved that for some people. I've heard from on your station this morning. They never won anything, but they ran for everything. So
well, I gotta give people. Listen, you gotta give people credit for running. I mean, it's a tough thing to do.
But still, slinging the mud when you were running didn't work for you. So why would it work for the person that you're looking out for now? That's what I'm saying.
All right.
Do you understand that?
Yeah.
It didn't logically work for you. Why do it with the person? Let the two people that are running run an honest race and keep the mud slinging out so we can make a sound decision. Because you're going to need everybody in November. Or you're going to be looking at a Republican in office.
Yeah. All righty then. Hey, appreciate your call. Time's up this hour. We got one more hour left to talk about things. We'll be back. The numbers are 860-1440. You can text me. What's my text number? 901-5022.